Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Connected Conversation with Caprice Crebar. I'm so excited to have you on this interview show.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes, very, very thankful and grateful as well. So these are connected conversations. They're a little bit different than maybe some of the things that people see us do, and we're going to get to know you a little bit more in a more semi-formal way. I want people to learn about how you are a connector and a gatherer as well. And we've been learning in these conversations that it's something that can be developed and learned. And I'm pretty sure you probably put intentionality into what you do to be the connector that you are. Perhaps to get started, we could have a quick introduction. I shared in the event for today a brief introduction. Otherwise, I would talk for about 10 minutes about Caprice, as we are friends. We got to meet in person a couple weeks ago. She's also, well, I'll just read what I took from the HeartLink website. So, as CEO of HeartLink Network Worldwide, and a certified health coach specializing in plant-based nutrition, Caprice is dedicated to connecting female entrepreneurs with community and resources to improve the health of your business and your life, and that you're a resource for healthy connections. And it all sounds like it's such a very simple and short description, but it just means so much. There's a lot in there. So could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Well, first, before I do, I'm so lucky that I connected with you, which happened in 2020 after both you and I had been leading HeartLink Network chapters for many years, though we did them locally before we were able to virtually connect with people. And so we never had a reason to connect, because we were hosting our own events in our local areas, which are completely across the continent from each other. And so 2020 brought us together, because we were like, well, now we can go, who's this Charlotte person? I could go to her virtual.
Yes, exactly. So we saw our names on maybe social media or different HeartLink, social media or presentations, but we didn't have any opportunity to connect more deeply.
Yeah. And so thank you for connecting with me. And we found out really quickly that we complete each other.
It's true.
And that we're very much alike. Your husband said, I think you're the same person.
He says it sounds your husband says every time he hears about Caprice, he's like, it sounds like it's you, Charlotte, but in another place. Even though we have we have such different lives, in a way we are very different too, in our conditions and our geography and our lives and our story. And though on some levels we're like almost exactly the same.
So I'm just a little older than you. I'm your wise old advisor. But I will let you know about my background. So I've always been a connector. My mom sent me this great photo of me at the bus stop, wearing a cute little yellow gingham dress at about 5 or 6 years old, and I was surrounded by girlfriends of the same age, and I was carrying a box or a book, and it literally looked like me now, but just at 5 years old. With these women, with these girls, little girls, and I was like, for whatever reason, I wasn't shy. I don't think I was completely the other way, like I wasn't obnoxious, but I was always excited to meet with someone, connect with someone, to I grew up as a gatherer of people. And so fast forward, when I became an adult and started a career, I was in marketing, and then I worked as a business development director at a telecom company back when cell phones were only installed in the trunk of your car. A lot of you watching are going, what? Because that was before your time. But that was my career originally. And I had I loved marketing. That was what my degree was in, marketing and communications. So everything that about my desire to connect people and gather people was just in my blood, because even in college, I founded the Organizational Communication Association.
Wow.
And I did a lot of what I'm doing now. I was doing in college as the leader of that club. I was identifying people that had careers that could teach something to the college students in the OCA. And so I was coordinating at like a restaurant where all the members of the college group would come, and then they would learn from an expert. And it's nothing has changed, Charlotte. I'm doing the same exact thing 35 years later. So again, just always been in the blood to be a connector. And so I ended up quitting my corporate job once I was having, little kids, and I didn't want to, I was traveling a lot, with that corporate job. And I worked with a lot of large wireless telecom companies, and sometimes traveled up to 10 days a month. So I had, nanny caring for my kids. They were eating poorly, and I felt like I was really neglecting their health. A lot of chicken nuggets, pizza, and macaroni and cheese.
Yes, the mac and cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. And so finally, I was able to come home after, my husband got a little more successful in his career, and I became the mom I really wanted to be to my 3 little boys. And at that time, because I still had that, connector, gatherer, servant-hearted desire to make an impact. And we were talking earlier, Charlotte, about we're connectors, but to take it to the next level, we're impactors.
That's true.
Because we can, why are we connecting people?
Exactly.
Why are we connectors? What's the point? The point is to impact. So we're impactors. And so when I came home, to be with my kids, I knew that nutrition was where I really wanted to impact my family. And so that's when I started to explore, how do I get better nutrition into their health, into their lives, and make up for, their bad nutrition. And I ended up stumbling upon a company that had a desire to impact people all over the world with better health. And that company specializes in concentrated plants. And so we offer plant powders in convenient vehicles to get those plants into your body and impacting your health. So it's called the Juice Plus Company. It's been around we're having our 30-year anniversary right now, and I've been with them 18 years.
Wow.
And so and then I became a certified health coach along the way, which you don't need to do to be a successful Juice Plus partner, though it impact a lot of people. But I really had a desire to learn more. I always like to learn more and just build my just knowledge, because they say that if you're not learning, you're not growing, right? You go in the opposite direction. So I did get that, and I've had a wonderful career of helping people from, from toddlers to elderly, really improve their gut health, their immune system, their brain health, their heart health. So in that whole process, that's where I ended up stumbling on HeartLink Network, because like many of you who are watching, and you, Charlotte, you've got your business with Epicure, which is a fantastic complement to Juice Plus. I love Epicure because it's also a clean product and helps you with your health. But I started to network, and it was right when Meetup came about. So about 13, 14 years ago, someone said, go to Meetup, you'll find groups there. And so I went on Meetup.
That's true.
And it just so happened that HeartLink Network was, excuse me one moment. I like my mug. Do you like my mug? Yeah, you got the other side with your name. I've got the core values on this side of HeartLink. Cheers. Oh, let's try to cheers in the middle. Let's try to cheers in the middle.
Oh, here like that.
Right. Okay. Lord. But so I went to this networking group, and it was called the HeartLink Network. founded by a wonderful woman, Dawn Billings, who's a women's and children's and family advocate. She's a psychologist and an author. And so she saw at the time that there was really a need for women to connect in a business environment. And there really weren't very many women's networking groups at the time.
It's true.
So when I was at this meeting, it just had a warmth to it. Like I had been to other networking groups, and not, no, diss on men, because I mean, co-ed networking groups are awesome, though women connect differently than men. And so when I came to this meeting, and the whole philosophy behind HeartLink Network is serve others first, add value, have a mutual respect and desire to support one another. And I know all of you have been in networking environments where oftentimes it feels like the other person just can't wait to throw up all their information on you and just say, hey, if you need what I have, you know where to find me. Here's my card.
Yeah, and get maybe, yeah, and like do the business card exchange part.
Yeah. And where, you've been on calls where there was a hope and desire that you could share mutually. And by the end of the time you have, that person's still talking about their thing, and without really self-awareness that I would like to give you some time to share. Tell me a little bit about you. So when I went to this HeartLink Network, I felt so, at home. I felt like these are my people, and I felt like it was just high integrity and mutually respectful, and that people really were hanging on each other's words and not just thinking about what they're going to say next, right, to sell their thing. So I went home immediately, and because I'm a just do it kind of girl. Like if I get an idea, I know you're the same way, Charlotte. It's like, okay, how can I start this tomorrow?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's what I did. And I went home and I called the founder and I said, I'd really like to open a chapter of my own. So now it's 13 years later about,
wow.
and I've been running the South Orange County chapter of HeartLink Network Worldwide. And it's been an amazing experience being able to be a connector, be an impactor. And then in this last year and a half, after several years after the original founder had retired and kind of, she wasn't going to continue to grow or pursue all of HeartLink Network. And she gave me her blessing. She said, Caprice, you've been consistently strong in leading this chapter for so many years. And I would love to see the legacy of HeartLink carried on. So with Charlotte's help, because the timing was perfect, we had just met in 2020, and you have the same, consistency, longevity, connector, impactor mentality. And so I asked you if you would join me as the vice president of HeartLink Network Worldwide. We rebranded. We have an awesome new website, which you can see there. There. And please follow our Instagram. Our Instagram is growing. It's representing globally the HeartLink Network Worldwide. And it's just awesome. It's been awesome to meet the women who are stepping up as leaders all around the nation, which, Charlotte, we have 5 already in Canada. Thanks to you. We've got 19 in the US, and we've got a new chapter leader starting in the next couple of weeks. And so we are looking for leaders. So if you are a high integrity driven connector, impactor, you would love to be seen as a leader in your community, which is definitely what happens when you step up as a HeartLink Network chapter leader. You're always going to have people knocking on your door because you're serving them first. And that's really how the world can get better, is if people are serving other people first.
Well, exactly. And all that you're sharing is really interesting, because there's all the facts and the information about about Juice Plus, so people can contact you about that, and about HeartLink Network Worldwide, because there's such expansion that there's a lot of space for people to launch their own chapters or attend an in-person meeting, virtual meeting, visit the website, the Instagram as well, to see the details, dates, and all that, and communicate with either one of us too, to find out. And one of the things that I find really interesting is some of the things that you're saying are really similar to some of the things that I've heard from the other connectors who have been participating in these connected conversations. So it's been, for myself, a humbling experience to realize some of my quirks I thought were quirks were actually perhaps specificities of connectors. So, you know, it's funny to find out, you and I, we discovered that we had some things that we did similar, from trial and error, perhaps intuition, perhaps experience. And there seems to be some human qualities that we can grow to be better connectors, or to be more of a connector. One of the things I heard you say is you were excited to meet. You said something about that, about a couple different people in a couple different situations. So what I'm hearing, that's for you, meeting people is exciting. So that's something that not everybody necessarily naturally feels. For a lot of people, it can be intimidating. And we also had a conversation we were talking about in the previous interview about introvert connectors. There are introverted connectors. So it's, you know, there are different ways to feel about it. But anyway, you thrive on connections. So that is also why you're a good connector, because it's like what you're saying. What I've heard as well is there's a flow, because you talked about a sharing mutually is what is desired in networking. So there's a give and take, there's a natural flow, and there's a balance, and you are able to kind of create that, or encourage that, or facilitate that, and that makes you an excellent leader for you know, the chapter, and also for HeartLink Network worldwide. I have a question for you, though. There's one thing that we talked about, being a gatherer. So you gather people. That would be gathering people in a positive way. What would be the difference with being a connector? Because I feel like gathering is part of connecting, but what do you see as an extra part of the connecting to make an impact? Because you could gather people and not make an impact. But when you connect people, depending on the way you do it, what you do, it really does have an impact. So what do you see would be like a difference between, or does that, you know?
Yeah, I think it stems from the that servant heartedness. And I find that in HeartLink Network worldwide, particularly, that the women that are attracted to it do have a servant heart. Like
Yes.
they want to serve. And I love to say, when I'm coaching entrepreneurial women to answer, you know, the question, what do you do? And I did hear that we had a speaker talk about this, one of our leaders, Mamie Lamley, at our success conference, and she even said it even more powerfully. But what I like to say is, rather than just saying what I do, I like to say, you know, how do I show up in the world and serve others with my gifts and talents? Because that's really what everybody's doing. Everybody has individual, unique gifts and talents. And we could even work for the same company, same industry, and we have a different product, different service, because it's us, it's me, not you. You have your own specific gifts and talents and ways. And so when you, and then Mamie said, when someone asks, what do you do? Respond with, how about I tell you what I stand for? And it not only creates a curiosity factor, because if I just say what I do, you know, hey, I work for the Juice Plus company, and you know, that doesn't mean anything. And if somebody decides, well, I know what that is, I don't need to know more, then you'll never
it's
have
kind of blocked. Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
So being a connector is just having that different viewpoint about what you do, rather than you're not doing something, you're showing up and you're serving with your unique gifts and talents. And if you're always looking at it that way, like, how can I serve? And I can serve with my products and services that are based on my passions, gifts, and talents. But I can also serve others by keeping them in mind when I hear what someone else needs. So I've always been that way too. I've always wanted to, like, I've had great experiences at restaurants. I've had great experiences with a movie. I've had great experiences with a doctor. You know, I have great experience with a nutritional product. And I always want to share that with other people. I just have an inherent desire to help people's lives be better. And so I think connectors have that inherent desire. And so when they know, because of the gathering that they've done to bring people together to connect, and they know that they know, like, and trust people that they've networked with and connected with, and that they think of someone, or someone says, I I'm struggling with this. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is who's in my community that I can connect that person with, that I know, like, and trust, and can guarantee they're going to be well taken care of by.
Yes,
And,
yes, that you
and
know that they
so,
will get also the trust from with that person too. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I feel like, especially within the HeartLink Network worldwide community, that, I feel blessed to have such an incredible community of resources that
Exactly.
I can have to serve others with, besides just what I do. Because if you're always just talking about what you do, then you can't connect effectively with people, because
Mm.
there's only going to be a certain segment of people that are going to respond positively and say, I'm ready to
Well,
use what you
yes.
have. Okay,
Mhm.
then the 80% of the people went away, right? So if you
Mm.
could continue to be a resource, a connector, that not only helps that person and the person you're connecting them with, you also are a resource for them, even though it wasn't
Yes,
your own thing. And so
exactly.
there's an additional, like, elevated know, like, and trust factor when you're not just always talking about your own thing, but you're a resource. I consider myself a resource for healthy things.
Mhm.
And so most of the healthy things I recommend aren't anything I make money on, or that just I'm just a resource for healthy things. I do a lot of
Mhm.
research. I have a lot of insight on some really amazing health promoting products and services, and healers, and so that's what I call myself. And
Mm.
so I think, if you broaden your vision on what connecting really is, like you're asking, Charlotte,
Yep.
then what that does is it comes back around to you
Mm.
multifold, just because people know you're not connecting just for your own self-serving benefits.
That's true, and what I hear a lot is intentionality and purposefulness too, because this means that when you're having a conversation, what I'm hearing is that you're having that intention and that purpose before you even hear someone speak. You are already ready to, think about how you can help, how you can connect that person, or who you can connect them to, and you already have a vision of that circle of all the people connected together, and you know that that's beneficial. And on the other end, it's also beneficial to you and to any service or product that you have to offer, even if you don't think about it, because it's what happens naturally is that people will view you for what you've brought them, and it can take sometimes it can take time for people to understand the whole collaborative concept and model. And
Mhm.
I find there's so much of the competitive models around us that it takes a little bit of time for people to understand. It's not it can seem sometimes like less structured or less just sometimes some people have a little bit of time it takes a little bit of time for them to catch up and follow and understand and see the benefits, but if they experience it, then it becomes a real thing. And one of the things also that I've been seeing about all of this is something that's applied a lot in education and less in business, but I hear that you're applying it, and also HeartLink Network Worldwide applies it, is the collaborative learning community concept. Collaborative learning is when, for example, in classes, they'll put students without having it be the teacher that like guides and controls everything in a way. There's groups of students who work together to find solutions, or students ask questions rather than the teacher kind of really just blurting out all the information. So collaborative learning, like you were saying, putting resources together,
Mhm.
collaborative learning can really accelerate any of our projects or things that we want to do. And you were saying what you did when you had that association in college was identify people who can teach something. So
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
all means that you have purpose and intention when you're meeting people, introducing people, going to. And I know a lot of people have asked me about networking, like, what can I get out of it? But I mean, what do you want to get out of it? If you want to be meeting people, connecting with people, then you need to be, offer that space and practice that. So
Mhm.
what I wanted to ask you was about the impacting. So the impacting of the connecting, of the community, of all those resources being together. So like you were saying, one of the differences is the servant heart desire to make an impact. And that's the point. What do you see as being, like, if people are making an impact, hopefully positively with their mission and life and business and all that, what do you see as being the positive results of more people making more of a positive impact?
Well, I mean, that to me, it's obviously if more people had that desire to add value for someone else
Mm-hmm.
first to make that impact, and the more people, it's like a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that in the HeartLink network worldwide. I mean, one of the goals is to have a nonprofit arm of HeartLink called HeartLink Cares.
Yeah.
And so the goal is that we've got a community, a large community. When you have a large community, and then you can create a larger ripple effect in the world, because you can basically have more awareness for whatever that
Mm-hmm.
cause is. I mean, you're doing a lot of that, Charlotte. I mean, you're like
Mm-hmm.
the queen of making an impact with nonprofits.
Yeah.
But it's the goal is to always be able to give back, because like in this community, it's a community of successful women.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are, as one of my goals of having success is to be able to give back more.
Yes.
The more money you make, the more money you can give, right? And so it's important to, for those of us in the HeartLink network worldwide, to give back and to have causes so that we can support collectively.
Yes. And also what I think is from what you said also before, what we talked about, is there's the possibility of giving back more, and also creating a space so that others can give more, because a lot of these successful women have a impactful mission and message to share. So if there's a space for them to do so, and they can collaborate and help each other out, well, I mean, it's actually more than helping. It's like really connecting to increase their potential and impact. Well, then all these people are expressing their messages and their missions. And so there's a bigger or better, or maybe, I don't know what kind of space to be all giving back. And then it, that can have, you just don't know what kind of possibility can come out of all that. Well,
and I do have ideas about that too. I mean, that's
Okay.
definitely been like on my mind.
Mhm.
And so it's interesting, because I've at most of the HeartLink network worldwide meetings here in South Orange County, and I know some of the other leaders are also following suit. We give HeartLink network worldwide meeting donations. So when we have the
Mhm.
meetings, then we draw a name of an attendee that's at the meeting, and they get to pick the nonprofit, that the money goes to. And so it's really great, because we're not only serving this charitable cause, but the person who wins the opportunity to pick it feels great, because they're getting
Yes.
money going to
Mhm.
their passion, the
Mhm.
charity they're passionate about. And what's interesting is I've had, just 50 women at a meeting, and every single woman has a different charity.
Yes, that's
I mean,
true.
there's a lot. I mean, it goes to how much need
Mhm.
there is.
Mhm.
It's incredible. So yeah, we're going to be putting our heads together to figure out how we serve in a big way, because we could pick one, but it's just, in my mind, having experienced how many different charities there are,
Yes.
with it's hard to pick just one. So that's why I love that we're making a collective impact on a wide variety of
Yes. Mhm.
needs, the way that we're providing donations through the HeartLink Network Cares.
That's true. Like you said, like we have one free spot at our events for an organization, if there's an entrepreneurial woman who can come and present the organization. And for example, our next event is going to be like a mini expo with a couple of different tables, and so we're going to have one organization have a table. But in a way, there's a limitation of what we can do if we're only offering a donation to the organization, whereas perhaps there are things that we can do more for more people. Is, I think, what I see you already thinking about that. Connector is trying to see, it's like there's an abundance of possibilities. There's no limit. So there's, how can we have or give or be more for more people all at the same time? So we don't necessarily follow classic or conventional ways of doing things, though as a business community, we don't want to be too quirky, but we're, we have those different ways of thinking of things. And I think bringing connectors together and bringing communities together, which is what HeartLink Network Worldwide does, is there's also the connecting of the different communities that are part of the worldwide network. So that really brings also connectors together, and It's just incredible. We've seen a couple of things happen too, that people have met and then collaborated and created something new, or new. It could be something in their own business or something completely different. And like you said, also for charitable organizations.
There's that's one real, something that really hits my heart, is being able to, I get a lot of joy out of seeing the connections.
Yes.
So I think that might be part of a connector's why as well, is that we kind of like, I'm a person that gets a helper's high.
Yes.
and that's what led me into the nutrition business, and being able to see, such an impact that I'm able to make in people's health. It's pretty incredible, when you get the right, plant-based nutrition in your body, what your body can do to transform the health. So that's where my helper's high started. But when I got into the HeartLink network and I started the chapter, what I realized is that gave me such a helper's high to see the connections. Like, for instance, at the Success Conference, we had our charity was Million Kids, and one of the speakers there was a private investigator, and she was talking about protecting our children, and so then you had met her there, and you had this big event, virtual event this last week, and she was one of your speakers,
yes,
all the way in Quebec, Canada. And so, that gave me so much joy to see that. I've had people start businesses together. I've had people become, BFFs.
Yes.
There are one woman, she stopped coming to my meetings because she had a conflict that day. I think she went back to work or something. And I ended up bumping into her at another networking event. Oh gosh, probably 2 years later. And when she stood up and she introduced me, because I was a newbie there, and she was somebody who'd been attending for a while. And she said, and we happened to bump into each other. So she just said a few words about me because she knew me.
Okay.
And she stood up and she said, thanks to you, Caprice, I made my best friend. It totally transformed my life meeting this person. So, we're a business network, but even if you could do business with friends,
it's even better.
Then it's even better. And so that just gave me such a helper's high to know that her life was changed in, a whole other way outside of business, just because she met, someone that became so important to her in her life. So you just never know what the connections are going to lead to. But I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that we get a personal, joy, like a little hit of adrenaline, just knowing that our connections led to, something that really impacted someone's business. Or life.
Yes, for sure. It's the, like you said, I like the helper's high, and it's probably a healthier high than some other kinds of highs. So it's probably good. And then being a connector, then I think since we focus on, like you said, identifying people who can teach to the community or can connect, connecting people, then we might even notice those results more clearly than other people may not even see them or notice them. But because we're out looking for that and actually just providing for that, it's kind of like a light that shines on them, and we just see things differently. It's like you said, it's a way of approaching life, a way of approaching people. And in a way, it almost seems like what connectors do is almost simply like a lamppost shining light on certain areas that didn't necessarily have them, so that people who could have met otherwise, perhaps they would have met 10 years later or not at all, but they could have met in a random way. However, in this way, we're purposely and intentionally and collaboratively accelerating that people meet in ways that are purposeful.
I love that lamppost. My hair keeps going right in my face. Sorry about that. But I love the lamppost analogy. And it is like, shine your light from within. What if you shine your light, you can definitely, impact people, and you can only impact by connecting.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you really can't. It's not one or the other. It requires both.
That's true. Exactly. Connecting is definitely part of impacting, that's for sure. So I really appreciate all of your sharing experience and just learning to know more about you and how you know how you view things, like the behind the scenes in a way of all of this as far as connections. And is there anything else that comes up to you that you think we haven't? I'm sure there's plenty of things we haven't covered, but like, is there anything else, that burning element that maybe coming up
Sure.
for
You know,
you?
I
Or
think that you and I both have a lot of experience as far as marketing
Mm,
and social media and creating visibility. You know,
yes,
it's
that's true.
kind of like, I don't know, this may not be a good analogy. I have been told I'm not really good at analogies, but I'm trying. So it's like if the tree falls in the forest and you're not in the forest, does it still
Hmm.
make a sound?
Yeah,
And it's kind of like, if you're not, I mean, it does. And so what and your knowledge that you can impart, or any of you watching this can impart, it exists. You do make a sound, even if somebody's not there with you.
yeah.
Though if no one sees it, you just made a sound and you're not able to impact in as big of a way.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so one of the things that we do within HeartLink Network Worldwide is we do coach our leaders and participants on
Hmm.
how to gain more visibility. I mean, we are visibility experts. I mean,
Yes,
it's,
that's true.
and between leading, bringing women together particularly, and then connecting them, and then finding ways to add
Hmm.
value for them. But one of those value adds by being a part of HeartLink Network Worldwide is to learn how you can leverage communities
Hmm.
in social media and
That's
in
true.
person and virtually,
Yes.
and how you can become known. And I like to say that when you show up to a HeartLink Network Worldwide event, whether it's in person, whether it's virtual, whether it's online, that if you show up with the I'm going to add value hat on for
Hmm.
other people,
Exactly. Yeah.
then you're going to immediately make a deeper connection with them.
Hmm.
They're going to recognize you more when they see you. And in either of those places, even if it's online in one of our online Facebook communities or Instagram communities,
Hmm.
if you show up, people will get to know you, and they'll know you because they know you because you're somebody who's willing to refer you, or just connect you in some way, enhance your
Yeah.
life in some way.
Hmm.
And then what do people usually want to do? They want to return that favor.
That's true.
So
Mhm.
it really does. That's where the whole reciprocation,
Yes.
collaboration, and I always like to one of my favorite things, and I know I heard it, I wish I could give credit to the person that I heard it from many, 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 many years ago, but it's one phrase that has always stuck with me, is that when you're in conversation with people, be more interested than interesting.
Hmm.
And if you lead with that, that will immediately connect you more deeply. It's those for more meaningful and strategic relationships, because relationships are key in business. And
Yes.
we're in a world now where authenticity and vulnerability is being encouraged. And when you are authentic and you're willing to help, rather than, what can I do for you? What can I learn from you, before you're just, here's what I can do for you, here's what you could learn from me. It changes the whole dynamic,
Hmm.
and just elevates that relationship and the trust in one another just so much more quickly.
It
And so
also makes an impact for that person because
yeah,
they're being listened to and heard and seen and
yeah.
viewed and acknowledged and received. And that is a huge, one of the biggest gifts we can offer another human being.
That's what I've loved about being a leader of HeartLink Network Worldwide, is because it gives me an opportunity to serve other entrepreneur women. And so when I became a leader, I went to that first meeting and I fell in love with it. And
Mm.
I joke that I have two brothers and three sons. So
Oh,
part of why I love it is selfish, because it's the sisterhood that I never had. Right?
yeah.
So there's probably that like little girl thing happening with me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I fell in love with helping women rise,
Mm.
and just I've coined a phrase called, collective prosperity. And that's what happens in HeartLink Network, is that it's a collective prosperity. We all rise together if we show up for one another, if we're thinking about adding value for each other. We're a community that has one another's back, and then we are here to serve with our gifts and talents that we possess that no one else does.
Yeah.
So it's been really incredible.
Wow, I really appreciate all that. I'm sure that people who will be listening to this will be enjoying it, because some things will just resonate with them too. Is sometimes having the words or having someone share it, just like, oh yeah, I felt that, or I had it, but having the experience shared with other people and knowing that it works, the collaborative approach actually works as far as also tangible results. Like we talked about collective prosperity. Collaboration can bring to prosperity as well, perhaps even more and further, and also longer term than other types of maybe more competitive models. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for participating in this connected conversation with me. And if anybody has any questions for Caprice or comments, or take part in the conversation. It's a conducted conversation. You can converse with us in the comments. You can also message us, and we can also do maybe a Q&A at some point or something, or another video also to share our further experience. And yeah, we'll share the contact information for Caprice, but you also have the website and the Instagram here. So that's very simple way to connect with you.
And I love to have just another item just to close with. One of my passions, and it's where the whole my LLC For Healthy Connections came about, is that For Healthy Connections is connecting you with community and resources to improve the health of your business and the health of your life. And so that's where the health of your business is helping you grow with the connectivity and the collaboration within the HeartLink Network worldwide. And then the life is the concentrated plants, the solutions that I offer to help you through the wellness side of my business and the Juice Plus company. And so I think that they really align well, because there's so many entrepreneurs that get so focused on their success in their business that they neglect their health success. That's true. And so I always encourage entrepreneurs to create a business plan for your health that you can work right alongside your business. Because if you do, and you've got certain measures that you want to achieve, or maybe it's just that you schedule in time to drink water, or you do add some nutritional components and you're consistent with those things, or you do get some exercise, a few days a week at least, those things, if you treat it like a business where, the bottom line is your health, your longevity, your vitality, true, right? Yeah. And so I really do have a passion for keeping entrepreneurs strong in their health, because a lot of entrepreneurs neglect their health, and when they're, you might make it in business and be a huge financial success, and then when you're ready to retire and enjoy it, you're sick. Yeah. So it's that's where, just to explain the For Healthy Connections umbrella, yes, that's where I bring the two together, and it really impacts the vitality and the performance and the success of an entrepreneurial business by maintaining good health,
and the longevity and the impact. Because if we don't have that health, there's some things that people can replace us for, but some things it's just us that can do, because we have, like you said, unique capacities and talents and qualities. So if we're not around to share them, then nobody's going to benefit from them, and we won't either. So that's a very good point, how those all connect together, and those are also topics that people can communicate with you for, and really appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing all that, putting all together for us. I'm very grateful, and people will be able to find this video on Facebook and share it, and also on YouTube. And we'll look forward to, finding out the next part of your adventure and endeavors with For Healthy Connections and HeartLink Network Worldwide.
Thank you, Charlotte. You complete me. Thanks for being our vice president. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.